I got bad news for you. They don't have a monopoly on stupid. You wear Queers for Palestine t-shirts and masks 2 years after the pandemic ended. And you can't define woman, I mean person who menstruates. You're the teachers' union education party, and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did? Oh, right, and then re-elected him. Maybe you missed it because it wasn't on TikTok. And sexism? Hillary got 3 million more votes than Trump, which in a normal country would be called a victory. It wasn't It wasn't 21st century sexism that prevented a woman from being president. It was the Electoral College.
With the midterm elections rapidly approaching, many Democrats already seem to be preparing excuses for a possible defeat. Rather than confronting their own mistakes, they appear eager to place responsibility on Donald Trump before a single vote has even been cast. Bill Maher isn't accepting that strategy and has openly criticized what he sees as the Democratic Party's habit of relying on excuses instead of accountability.
Democrats run for office as if the voters don't live here, as if they don't go to the grocery store and Starbucks and the office, but they do. They live here, and they actually see women and people of color, and it doesn't look like some patriarchal racist nightmare. Do problems remain pertaining to racism and sexism? Of course. But a poll last year asked, if America is the greatest country in the world, more blacks and Hispanic Americans agreed with that than the white progressives. It asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. It asked if government should increase border security. Same result. Hispanic Americans are less okay with illegal immigration than whitey.
According to Maher, one of the Democratic Party's biggest weaknesses is its tendency to assume it always knows what is best for voters. Rather than listening to concerns from the people they represent, party leaders often push forward with policies they believe are correct regardless of public opinion. Maher points to immigration as one of the clearest examples. Many black and Hispanic voters, groups Democrats have traditionally relied upon, have repeatedly expressed concerns about border security and immigration policy. Those concerns were raised openly and consistently, yet critics argue they were often ignored. Maher believes the consequences became clear during Kamala Harris's handling of border issues. Critics claim the administration failed to maintain control of the situation, leading to record numbers of illegal crossings.
Kamala Harris's new memoir of the 24 election is called 107 Days, but it should have been called Everyone Sucks But Me. 107 Days is a victim's title because, get it, she only had 107 days to win. Yeah, and $1.5 billion and a built-in army of about 75 million people who'd vote for any human-adjacent life form that wasn't Trump.
Another argument Maher strongly rejects is the claim that Kamala Harris did not have enough time to run an effective campaign. Harris herself has frequently pointed to the limited timeline as an explanation for the election outcome. Maher, however, argues that this defense falls apart when examined closely. Harris entered the race with access to extraordinary financial resources, giving her campaign advantages few candidates have ever enjoyed. Beyond funding, she also received support from major celebrities, entertainers, and influential public figures who actively promoted her message. The media attention was substantial. The endorsements were widespread. The institutional support was undeniable. Yet despite those advantages, the campaign still failed to achieve victory. As Democrats begin preparing for future elections, Maher believes returning to the same explanations will accomplish nothing. In his view,
In 107 days, nothing is ever Kamala's fault. Biden lets her down by not stepping down sooner. Pouty face emoji. Gavin Newsom, he was asked for his endorsement, but texted, "Hiking, we'll call back." But then never did. And then he didn't even ask her to prom. America itself lets Kamala down by not being ready for the running mate she really wanted, Pete Buttigieg. So she's stuck with the Home Depot paint salesman. And the rest is herstory. Poor Kamala. We made her the star of a rom-com and didn't even give her a gay best friend.
Maher also dismisses another explanation that has surfaced among some Democrats: the claim that voters were unwilling to support certain candidates because of personal identity factors. He argues that this narrative misses the larger reality facing most Americans. Voters were not spending their time focused on identity debates. Instead, they were worried about practical concerns affecting their daily lives. Rising fuel costs strained household budgets. Homeownership felt increasingly out of reach for many families. Border issues remained unresolved. Educational systems faced growing criticism from parents and communities. Internationally, many voters felt America's influence had weakened. According to Maher, these were the issues dominating public concern. He believes Democrats lost ground because voters were focused on economic and governance problems rather than...
Yeah, I got bad news for you. They don't have a monopoly on stupid. You wear Queers for Palestine t-shirts and masks 2 years after the pandemic ended. And you can't define woman, person who menstruates. You're the teachers' union education party, and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person.
Maher frequently returns to the lessons of the 2024 election, arguing that many voters concluded progressive politics had moved too far away from their priorities. Concerns over education, immigration, and cultural issues became central themes throughout the campaign. Many Americans watched political institutions struggle with these challenges and ultimately expressed their dissatisfaction at the ballot box. The election result, according to Maher, sent a clear and unmistakable message. Yet he believes many Democrats still have not fully understood what happened. Instead of reassessing their approach, he argues they continue embracing many of the same policies and messaging strategies that contributed to their losses. In his view, there has been too little reflection, too little accountability, and too little will.
We love to speak truth to power, and we always should, but you have completely lost the ability to speak truth to bullshit. The Democratic polling firm Blueprint told Democrats months ago that black voters, aka their supposedly liberal base, were more likely to find the president too liberal than too conservative. They also found that voters didn't just want Harris to distance herself from Biden, they wanted her to distance herself from what they believe the entire Democratic Party has become, a Portlandia sketch.
Maher's frustration extends beyond progressive activists themselves. He is equally critical of Democrats who privately recognize problems within the party but refuse to speak publicly about them. According to Maher, many elected officials understand that certain policies and messaging choices are alienating voters. They recognize that some ideological positions are damaging the party's ability to compete nationally. Yet instead of voicing those concerns, they remain silent. Maher argues that these figures are often willing to criticize political opponents at every opportunity while avoiding criticism of their own side. In his view, that silence is not courage or neutrality. It is avoidance. He believes the Democratic National Committee has suffered greatly because reasonable voices inside the party failed to challenge ideas they knew were unpopular. Maher's conclusion is simple. When moderates stay silent, they leave the field open for the most extreme voices to take control.